What's up, friends? So, welcome to the third episode of the journey, right? Today, I want to get back to a few infos on in regards to the podcast, right? So, you know, I mentioned that I'm doing this content for myself primarily, right? Which is, it's true, right? And I remember reading a book by Rick Rubin, and he basically talked about that. He talked about, the creative basically doing his best work if he's doing it for himself, right? And I also thought about that back in the day because, how you always read books, you read the content, that some other person produced, and his thoughts and stuff, and then you kind of pick up, these thoughts, and you embody them, right? Like they become yours in a sense, right? Like not fully, but parts of it. And then what you create after that, right, is maybe part of whatever you heard or read before, right? So I think we should always do it for ourselves, and whatever comes from that is going to be enough, right? Like it's fine, so the second part was that I also did a few content pieces now that I basically did for my younger self, right? I think that's a good and interesting way to do it. I think this kind of stuff would have helped many years ago, and that's why I'm doing it, right? Like super clean and simple reason. Um, the other thing that came to mind for today was that the numbers on the podcasts are picking up slowly, which is good. You know, YouTube is picking up. Got a couple thousand views now across the channel. Mm, Shorts are the content piece that works best, obviously, right? Attention span of people these days is interesting. And then again, animated content on especially on shorts works best, which is not surprising. I mean, when you've worked with any sort of ad or whatever in that area, um, producing ads, directing ads, cutting content, all that kind of stuff. It's it's fairly evident that this would have worked that way. But on the other hand, I also what I've seen so far from doing a little bit of research is that um, that raw content is gonna work more and more, right? I think that's also something that is interesting, especially because I actually prefer raw content, right? Like to me, it's more natural, it's more authentic, and thus I will also do more of it, which is kind of this right here, and therefore I will keep doing these, right? Like these short journey episodes, and basically vlogging for myself, uh, vlogging for my younger self, right? And again, right, if it brings value to some people, great, right? The other thing was that sometimes when you start small and from scratch, you have a feeling, or one has a feeling, that it's not worth it, right? Like I catch myself all the time. This is not the first time I've started from scratch. I've started many projects from scratch, and therefore, it's tough, right? Just the way it is, right? Being persistent and consistent with the endeavor that you chose to start is not easy, right? Especially when we're so you know programmed to get likes, to get clicks, right? To get the views right away, because we always see the big channels, we see the stuff that already works, right? That that's what we compare ourselves with. So that's kind of, another issue. But what I wanted to say to that is, that's actually what makes it worth it, right? Like starting small is what is going to make it worth it later on, right? Just stick to it. Ignore the monkey brain, right? Ignore what it's telling you on a daily basis. Just stick to your plan, build a strategy, iterate, see what happens, right? Another one that I wrote down today because I did some notes today, um, but yeah, maybe I should do them differently. I just noticed. But anyways, we are now live on Apple Podcasts, right? It's going to be the only platform audio only for now. Just gonna see how it turns out, right? Like maybe there's different people on Apple Podcasts than on Spotify and YouTube watching video, right? Because on both platforms, I chose to upload video, and Apple Podcast is going to be the only audio format for the podcast, which is interesting, right? Because I think video gives more depth. Like to me, video is more interesting, right? Like especially if you have people that are not English natives, right, and they're struggling with the language a little bit, just like me, So it's uh, it's better to see the face. It's better to see the expressions, the emotion, right, through the screen. And especially when you have a conversation of an hour and longer, I think that's what it's all about, right? Like to understand that other guest, right? Like to understand that person talking to the camera, to understand why they did it, what they're doing right now, what that little boy was back in the day, why they chose that path that they're on, right? All this kind of stuff is super interesting to me. So in general, it's the human that interests me. It's not so much the numbers, right? Like all that kind of stuff is cool, but I think the human is what really interests me, and that's my curiosity for that topic, right? Like I know I have many friends that are acquaintances that are that basically not interested in talking to people about their life story, right? Which is completely fine, but like that's I think if you are not interested in that, then you shouldn't be doing these kind of podcasts, right? Sure, there's room for business podcasts, just giving knowledge, but to me that's not really a podcast. I think that's just kind of like a media format, right, to bring a message across. But okay, that's just everybody has different definitions for stuff, and it's all good, like I'm not judging. So yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind so far. Actually, a little bit more than what I wanted to talk about. And yeah, the plan is to shoot out two podcasts per month right now. Actually, I want to get to one per week eventually, right? I don't know how long that's going to take because it's not easy to get the systems in place, to get the people in that you want to talk to, right? Because I don't want to talk to anyone. I literally just want to talk to people that make a difference in a positive way, have a positive impact on the world, are doing interesting stuff at the same time, and have some impact, right? Like real impact. So it's not going to be I'm not going to invite people that are just ripping off someone, or have like turnover of X, and just because of their turnover they want to talk about their endeavor. But that's not enough for me, right? To invest my time, I want to speak to people that actually have a good heart. Maybe I will be wrong at some point, right? Maybe I will talk to someone that is not, and I thought he was or she was, and that's also fine. But like the intention is to have good people on, right? Because there's many out there, right? But they also choose not to speak out, just like me, uh, for a long time. So I think there's plenty of room to grow, and plenty of people to talk to, plenty of the right people to talk to. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of, getting some traction, right? Like there's people that they see, okay, this guy, he's only done 10 podcasts, or maybe they just see, I think 6 are uploaded so far, right? They just see that, yeah, this guy has, 6 episodes uploaded so far. He's gonna stop soon. This is it's not worth it to invest my time in this, because most people stop uploading, after X episodes. I understand that. I get it. And yeah, what I can say to that is I will still be here at episode 100 and beyond, right? So that's for sure. And because I'm just getting started with this. And yeah, maybe a little segue here to, the statistics in terms of, people sticking to uploading podcasts. I think it's more than 70% actually upload only one episode. And then again, from the remaining, 20 to 30%, there is only, I think, 10% that actually upload more than 10 episodes, right? Which is pretty interesting. So if kind of the math, have to double check, but if you upload more than 10 episodes, you're already in a, top one digit percentage of podcasters, which is crazy, you know, whatever that means. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like people, aren't consistent with that kind of stuff, but I get it. It's not easy, like really, especially in the beginning, where I'm at right now, getting the right guests, getting interesting people on when you have nothing to show, right? That's a skill for itself. Sticking to it when you've had, like, one example from my journey, I have had like 3 or 4 lined up, and all 3 got moved, right? Got you know moved by a couple weeks. Short notice, like you're already sitting, and the studio set up, right? Camera is up, everything's up, like you block the time, and then, something came up with the guest. But that's normal, right? Like, this shouldn't discourage you, right? That's the journey, right? And it doesn't discourage me at all, because I'm used to that kind of shit, right? Stuff not working out on the first one, or on the second one, on the third time, fourth. I'm used to that. Like, I can take a beating. It's not a problem, right? But actually, it's just here, right? Like, it's not you understand, right? Uh, the mental thing is, you have to stick to whatever you wanted to do, and to the plan that you set out, and ignore the noise, right? And with noise, I also mean the downside, right? Not just, other people, or, whatever else, right? Just ignore it, and ignore your own monkey brain, right? Because that's the one, that I'm fighting with. It's the only one. And yeah, just control it, and you will get to wherever you want to go. That's for sure. If you can handle your own mind and your own body, right? Like, just, one example that just came to mind, because I talked to Nick Warner, super cool guy, and he's a very, strong proponent of semen retention, right? I learned that for the first time many years ago from one Asian guy, and some content online, right? But like with Nick, I actually implemented it for the first time a couple years ago, because I did a course, or yeah, some sort of a course with him for over a couple weeks, and it's crazy stuff, especially when you've never, like, consciously done it, right? Semen retention for 20 days, 30 days, like, see what happens, right? Like, it doesn't mean you cannot have sex, right? But there's way to keep it in. I will do a separate video, right, to to not go into much detail here because there's definitely people that will not want to listen to that kind of stuff. So I will put in a separate one and yeah, title it that way so you know what to look for. So yeah, that's it. It's February 2024, and spring is slowly coming in, which energetically I can feel. Right, it's super cool. More energy coming in. I'm still doing a lot of work on myself. Still talking to people, doing a lot of energy work, and yeah, meditating is on a daily basis at the moment still, which helps a lot. And yeah, again, I said that before. It's for me, it's always focus and breath, and that's what I'm focusing on. Just always improving, right? See you in the next one.